Good. Okay.
All
Good
right.
morning and good afternoon.
Yes.
Swap us. There we go. I'm here with Kathy from Wellside Retreats. And uh, we talked about a month ago, no, 2 months ago almost, end of January.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm,
and you were in Sintra, Portugal. And now you're in Porto. Yes?
correct.
In what
That's
looks
right.
like a really beautiful, spot, wherever you are, it looks beautiful.
Yeah, this Airbnb is really very comfortable, and
Yeah.
it was renovated by a couple who were architects.
Nice. So cool. Let's back up. I'll introduce myself and then you can introduce yourself. For
Okay.
those of you who are new, I'm Kat and I'm with Rebloom Room, where we help Black and Brown women find more joy in their lives through international travel, retreats, and radical self-care. So, Kathy, you are.
So, so I am Kathy Hampton. I am a facilitator of retreats. Wellside Retreats is the name of my business, and I help Black women move away from what no longer serves them into a space that will serve them well. And I'm actually doing retreats as well as life coaching
Mm,
for women
okay.
over 50,
Mm-hmm,
usually.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes, well-seasoned women as we are.
Yes.
So, last we spoke was a couple months ago, and you were in Sintra, Portugal, and now you're in Porto. So, do you want to tell us where you've been and what you've been up to for the past couple months?
Sure. So this was a planned sabbatical that I planned probably 9 months ago. I really wish that it was longer, but I started out in Sintra. And the reason why I started out in Sintra was a tip that I got from a Portuguese language teacher who thought that if I really wanted to experience more immersion into the language, would be to start out a place that wasn't right in the center of Lisbon. And
Mm-hmm.
Sintra, so I chose Sintra because I looked at the map and I said, well, I want to get around as quickly as I can back to Sintra. But I thought that it was further away than it really is. It's
Mm,
not that far.
yeah.
You can take public transportation and get there. So I started there, and I started, my accommodations were at the foothills of the largest hill or mountain
Mm-hmm.
in Sintra that goes up to the Moorish castle and other castles and
Mm-hmm.
historic sites. So I was really in a tourist area, but down those mountains, people are living there in town.
Mm-hmm.
It's their community, and I was able to utilize a little bit of the Portuguese that I knew. So that was a good tip, and I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't that far from Lisbon.
Mm-hmm.
I was there for 3.5 weeks, and then picked up my bags and went to closer into, well, in Lisbon, but not in the center of Lisbon either. I was in a
Mm-hmm.
neighborhood called Belém or Judah, and
Ajuda.
was
Okay.
very much in the community
Mm-hmm.
of everyday working people. And the
Mm-hmm.
place that I chose had a great panoramic view of the Tagus River. And that's why I chose that
Mm-hmm.
location
Mm-hmm.
and met my price point. And I'm glad I did that.
Mm.
I saw how people live
Yeah.
every day.
Right.
Um,
Belém is in sort of like the what western, like towards the west side of Lisbon, and a little bit
Correct.
away from the busy touristy area.
That's right. That's
Hmm.
right. It's away from, and down the hill, down the hill where I was located
Mm,
is lots of museums. There's
mm,
other tourist areas,
yeah.
a monastery, and up the hill from where I was a large historic garden, as well as the palace of Ajuda, which
Mm,
was the governing palace prior to Lisbon itself being the capital.
mhm,
So yeah, so I learned a lot, and I
mm,
didn't know any of this when I was making plans. I just
mhm.
started walking around.
Yeah. So you've done a lot of walking. I think.
I've done a lot
Yeah.
of walking. I knew I was
Mm,
going to do a lot of walking. I love to walk.
mm,
I like to hike. I'm not a, a great hiker, but I love exploring by walking. And I think you see so much when you walk around.
mhm.
If you were to be in a car, you see, get a different perspective.
Yeah.
But when you're walking, you are seeing every little every little location, every
Mhm.
every step you take,
Yeah.
you're seeing something new,
Mhm.
and it could be a small place. I did that on a main street. I decided to walk it instead of taking a tram and or a streetcar,
Mhm.
and found a great neighborhood library that I had been looking for and
Mm,
hadn't seen it. So yeah,
right.
walking is I think the best way to uh, to see a place if you don't
Yeah.
know it.
And that's
Mhm.
your kind of thing. It's like libraries. You like to visit libraries. I remember you said that.
Exactly.
Mm,
I am a professional librarian,
mm,
and I like to see how other libraries, manage their either their collections or how they provide information to patrons or people in the community.
mm.
And I was very excited to see how the library system here really works. It's beautiful. They use
Mm.
space so efficiently.
I love
Cool.
a good public library. I really do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
So,
really good.
did you do a lot of research before you started on your trip, like in terms of like where to stay, or did you connect with people in advance of your coming?
No, I didn't.
Hmm.
I kind of did the research on my own.
Hmm.
I wasn't sure if I was going to start in Lisbon or start in Porto.
Hmm.
And then I got the tip from the language teacher, so I decided let me just start in Lisbon. Um, and I did some reading about what was going to be in I'm sorry, Sintra,
Hmm.
what I would see. I knew that there was that national park, and that national park is huge, and
Hmm.
people hike it
Hmm.
to get up the mountain and down the mountain. Um, but I didn't do a lot.
Hmm.
I was just so ready to take a leave of absence from
Hmm.
working
Hmm.
that I just booked the flight. I
Yeah.
booked, my accommodations. I did look to see what was around the accommodations. Pictures to me speak more to me than sometimes words, and so I liked what my accommodations looked like, and the proximity to a train station or to a bus stop. Is that was all I did. I
Hmm.
didn't do any other historical research at all on Portugal. I will say that I watched commentary in some of the Facebook groups uh, for Portugal, the Blacks in Portugal, the American, I
Yeah.
forget what that is,
Yeah.
the Portugal
Americans.
Facebook
Yeah.
group, and then there is which I didn't know about until I came here. There is a 50 women 50 and over
The
friends
friendship. Hmm.
group.
Hmm.
I didn't I joined that
Oh, good. Yeah.
um, group after I got here, probably the second month that I got here.
Mm.
And just to see conversation.
Yeah, it sounds like that you wanted ease from like beginning to end. Like you
Mhm,
didn't
mhm,
want to stress yourself out researching. You just
mhm.
like, boom, I'm going there and then see
Right.
how it goes. Yeah.
Yeah. And because I've never taken a sabbatical. I've never had three 3 months off from working ever since I've
Mm-hmm.
been an adult. Um, I, I really did want to rest, and I had
Mm-hmm.
plans of writing because I am writing to become published,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I thought about more than anything. And then when I got here, I couldn't stop sleeping because I
Mm-hmm.
guess I was very tired. And so your mind tells you, oh, you need to go out and see the world. But my body was exhausted, and I also I couldn't get up. So I decided that if I had made plans in advance to go, places, tours, and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
I would have probably been overwhelmed
Yeah.
with trying to make deadlines and
Mm-hmm.
everything. And what I realized is that the environment is conducive to rest. It's
Yeah.
very peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
In the city center, it's bustling, of course, but the people, the vibration of the people is peaceful.
Yeah.
It's a peaceful place. So, and so that was accommodating
Mm-hmm.
to me.
Yeah.
The the vibration of the environment.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So watching your Instagram and I think Facebook, it seems like you've kind of done a little bit of bumping into folks and meeting up with people. Can you talk about like folks that you've met and met up with?
Sure, sure. Well, the first meetup that I actually had was a woman who I'm in a mastermind group with, and she is traveling all over the place. I don't know how many countries. I want to say 20. And so she came and we met for dinner. And then I went to on the Lisbon tour, the African Lisbon tour, I should
Mm,
say,
hmm.
where I learned so much about the diaspora,
Yeah.
and from there met other people.
Hmm.
And you know, it's I've been surprised at how many people that I have met just in traveling,
Hmm.
and have been able to establish, short-term relationships and gather
Hmm.
together for
Yeah.
dinner or a meal or something to drink. And then I met some women just going into a restaurant one day in Lisbon for brunch. They were coming out, and I thought that they were Portuguese. And I said, "Excuse me, are you in line?" Not in Portuguese, but in English.
Hmm.
And they spoke in perfect English and said, "Oh no, we're leaving."
Hmm.
And they told me that they had just moved from the States to Portugal and were
Hmm.
part of this 50 plus
Okay. Hmm.
women.
Hmm. Oh,
And
good.
they invited me to an outing. We had
Hmm.
actually met for Thai food and walked around some neighborhoods. So I was able to see, a little bit more of the city with
Hmm.
them.
Yeah.
And it goes on and on.
Hmm.
There's a group that we are very connected with, the Exodus
Hmm.
Summit. Someone mentioned
Great.
to me, um, you should get a massage at this place.
Hmm.
And we became friendly. And she invited me to some other events. And so I've been
Nice.
around, and she was actually, she invited me to her home to see
Hmm.
part of um, area that I hadn't been to. And so, um, and fixed shrimp and grits, which
Oh,
is one of
good.
my favorite
Oh,
meals.
that's good.
So I'm going to mention her name, Edwina.
Okay, nice.
She's great, and we had a lot in common. And yeah, so and yeah, and it goes on and on and on. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm an open person and very
yeah.
flexible,
Mm-hmm.
and have been blessed with meeting up with some great people.
Yeah, I think
Mm.
that is a concern when women especially are traveling solo, that, you're like, oh, I'm going to be by myself, but you are, but you aren't. Like, you're
Mhm.
surrounded, if you're in a city, you're surrounded by people, and if you are open, you can have these conversations, and then they might extend to a little, like an excursion or a dinner or a brunch or something, where
Mhm.
if you're available for it or open to it, it
Yeah.
yeah, could change your
Yeah.
trip.
And I actually have had people comment about, you can't be alone, are you? You're really alone? And I'm like, well, yeah, I've been alone going to grocery stores and
Right?
and living in cities where I didn't know that many people. I really want people to know, especially women, to know that um, they could find so much joy and newness if they would allow themselves to open up to travel or moving about the world
Mhm,
by themselves.
mhm.
There's so much to gain
Yeah,
from it, from the experience. You
yeah,
learn a lot about yourself, really.
it's true.
You really do. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are some of the favorite things that you've done or seen, or favorite places so far?
Let's see. Oh, I love being near the water, and I think one of the favorite things I have done has been to go to Cabo de Roca,
Roca? Mhm.
and I took a bus from Sintra there, and it goes through these windy roads, up and down hills, into small towns and villages to get there.
Mm,
And the bus drops you off, and it's basically kind of like a national park
mm,
area with a lighthouse.
mm.
And there's a restaurant there, there's a bar there, a souvenir shop, but the 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 top of this hill looking down over the Atlantic Ocean with all of these waves crashing into the rocks is just I think about it all the time.
Mm,
Um, so that has been actually my favorite
mm.
thing.
Say the name again, Cabo de Roca?
Cabo de Roca,
Cabo de
and
Roca.
it's
Mm,
DA, and
mhm,
so that is Cape of the Rocks, I
mhm,
believe, or the
mhm,
Rock,
mhm. Is that the
and
place where it's the westernmost part of Europe?
that's
Is that it?
right,
Okay.
of Europe. That's
Mhm,
right.
mhm.
Yes. Besides the small
Yeah, the
islands
islands.
of
Yeah,
Azure.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it is breathtaking,
Mm,
and and I went on a really nice day. It was sunny, and the wind was not as they kind of warn you when you read the information that the wind is blustery. It can be kind of dangerous.
mhm,
But I picked a day. I just went,
mm,
and it just so happened it wasn't that windy.
mm,
So that's been my favorite. Another a classmate of mine from my Portuguese language class actually has a car and lives in Cascais.
mm,
She actually drove through some of the through Cascais to some of the beaches that are along that pathway,
mhm,
and the water is just so blue, and
mhm,
there were surfers out, there were people
mm,
out, and then we went on a Sunday. And
mhm.
Sunday in Portugal is family day,
Yeah.
and everyone comes out. It's kind of it's akin to church where you take
Mhm,
your yourself and your family to church, but the nature is the church in Portugal on Sundays. And so the people are out jogging, people are going to brunch. There are tons of restaurants along the water. And so that's been great. So I could talk all about water.
Yeah. Although the ocean is pretty flippin' cold
Yes.
there. It's
Yes.
not like
it's
it's not
no.
Caribbean blue
No,
water.
no, it's not.
It
is
is
not
a
it
fierce
is
waves and cold, yes?
and cold.
Mm,
Exactly. Yeah. And it's beautiful to look at.
mm,
And the only time I put my feet in the water here has been when I was in downtown Cascais, and there's a beach downtown, and you can sit there and put your feet in the water, but you know, there's no waves there,
right.
but it's cold. It is very cold. And yeah, so you know, I was blown away by also the very hilly parts of Sintra when I went up and I climbed up the castle. It's just amazing how high it is. And I would say riding around in a tuk-tuk, which I said I would not do, but I decided to do it. I was warned by a local not to get on a tuk-tuk.
I know.
But I did.
Right.
I have. I've been on 2 different tuk-tuks, one in Sintra and one in Lisbon. The one in Lisbon was a lot tamer up and down the hills because I wasn't going to walk up all the hills that I needed to walk up and or wait for buses to transfer. So the tuk-tuk was a good idea to get up. Yeah.
Did they warn you because it's like you have like tourist stamped across your head, or what was the warning against the tuk-tuk?
The warning from the guy in Sintra was the tuk-tuk drivers are crazy because they drive really fast.
Okay.
And it's and he said, and it's cold. You don't want to go because it's they drive fast and it's cold.
So can you talk about the food and what you? Well, I don't know what kind of eater you are, but that face. That's unexpected. Okay, because you know.
I'm sorry, Kat.
No, it's up to you. Like it's your taste buds.
Well, let me tell you, I eat everything. I'm not a picky eater. I'm not, you know, I'm not a vegan. I'm not a, you know, I'm not an herbivore. I'm you know, I eat pretty much everything. I'm open to eating and trying new things. But the food here doesn't have a flavor, doesn't have, to me,
not spicy.
A flavor. There's no certain spice that is used for Portuguese food.
Right.
I don't.
Except for that piri piri. They have piri piri if you like that, but mostly
piri piri is just, I think it's just red pepper flakes that have been crushed, right? So it's
like a sauce.
Piri piri.
They put it on chicken and stuff, but yeah. I've found that Portuguese, like it can be very simple, like grilled fish. There it is. Potatoes. There it is.
There it is.
You know? Yeah. But I also find that it's really fresh. Like everything is really fresh. And so it's almost, for me, it was almost like they don't need or want to do that because you really taste, like the tomatoes taste like tomatoes. The fish, you can tell it's fresh. So I appreciated that, but yeah, I could see maybe 3 months in, it might be like get some like Indian food or something.
Yeah. So when I had the Thai food and I had the shrimp and grits by someone you know I knew who would make it, I was really excited. But you know, I can appreciate the seafood. I did have a seafood platter the other day with someone, and all of the fish and the shellfish was amazingly great. I mean, just you could taste all of it. It wasn't overly seasoned. They did put some sauces on the side
Mm-hmm.
in case you wanted that,
Mm-hmm.
some
Mm-hmm.
mayonnaise, and some, oils
Mm.
or different sauces.
Yeah.
So, but the clams, I had never had these small, really small clams. They
Mm.
were buttery and
Mm.
flavorful. They taste like the ocean. It was, I will say that, yeah, yeah. So
I
I'm
love
gonna
it.
give Portugal, 10, 10
Yeah.
fingers for their fish. The fish
Mm.
has been good.
Mm-hmm.
And for a while, I was probably for 2 weeks, I was trying different bacalaos.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Bacalao Bras, Bacalao,
Mm.
Braga the other
Mm.
day.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has their own bacalao
Mm-hmm.
codfish dish.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The Brazilian version was what I liked the most.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was really good. So
Mm-hmm.
there are markets all around
Mm-hmm.
with, like you said, fresh vegetables, fresh
Mm.
fruit,
Mm-hmm.
and they taste good.
Yeah, because you had
Yeah.
been in Mexico right before this, right? You had been in
I've
Mexico.
been in Mexico last June for three
Yeah.
weeks.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah, very
and
different, very different.
ooh,
Like the
yeah,
Mexico, Portugal, it's
yeah,
a totally different worlds. Yeah.
yeah,
Like
totally
Mexico is
different.
about the salsa, the spice, the different,
Yeah,
things are
yeah,
picante, whereas in
yeah,
Portugal it's just, fresh, simple,
yes,
very down
yeah,
to earth. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 So yeah,
Nice.
differences, but
Yeah.
I can appreciate everybody's
Yeah.
differences.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
do you want to talk about Naki's African Lisbon tour? Because both of us
sure.
have gone on that, and I'm so glad that you were able to do that.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it gives you a different perspective.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's amazing how in depth Naki covers the diaspora from Africa, the slaves being brought, the Africans being brought into Portugal
Hmm.
um, to become slaves
Yeah. And he
and
starts the
sold.
tour in Lisbon in the plaza where the boats bringing enslaved Africans into Portugal landed, which is kind
Correct.
of,
Yeah.
starts it off on a
Yes.
good note.
And the group is listening intensely to his narrative and his description. And um in that square, that huge square, I'm looking around and I'm thinking, wow, okay, I understand it. The water's right there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's
Mm-hmm.
this square you think of, you seeing in history books, these squares, these markets,
Mm-hmm.
and the slaves were on one side of this market.
Mm-hmm.
No longer is that slave house or that they once had where they were taken and and sold, but he pointed to it and showed us where it was. So it was,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah. So you know, um, being affected by history, I am one who's very sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
And with his description and his discussion, um, was pretty, I was pretty upset for probably about 2 days. I will
Right?
say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Because there's a whole narrative. Um, countries do this where, they kind of like, the uncomfortable, inconvenient stuff is like, oh, that happened, but never mind,
yeah.
But it's there. If you know what you're looking at, it's still
Mhm.
there.
It's
Like
still
it's
there.
still there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And yeah, and I see that um in my walks around. I
Hmm.
see how we are, when I say we, I'm talking of Black and Brown people are, we are here, we're doing well, supposedly. We um but we are actually not, I think we're invisible.
Mm. Except
I
to each other. Except to
except
each
to each
other.
other.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like that's what we
I
see. We see each other
we
all the
see each
time.
other.
Yeah.
Yeah. yeah, we are invisible. We're able to walk around and do whatever we want to. And it's been interesting. I've gone into a couple of places, and I think that I don't know how many non I don't know how many people in the town you know, go to these museums or go to these places,
Mm,
because
mm,
when I come in, I'm graciously spoken to,
mhm, mhm,
but it is a surprise, I believe, to them.
mm.
And they have to see me
Yeah.
because, right, they have to
Yeah.
see me.
Yeah.
So it's been fun
Mhm,
actually, and
mhm,
having conversation and letting
mhm,
people know I'm so sorry I don't speak, you know, Portuguese, because
mhm.
I've been spoken to
Sure, in
quite
Portuguese. Yeah,
often.
of course, yeah.
But I will say that early on, while I've been here, I've been asked for direction
Okay,
in Portuguese.
cool.
And I'm like, and so I've had to
Nice.
respond with my, small knowledge of the
Mhm,
language,
mhm.
um, and say,
It's
I
nice.
don't speak. And then
Yeah.
they get a little disappointed. But
Mm.
I am one I've been I would say at least 2 to 3 times a week, I am asked for the direction.
Oh, that's nice. You look comfortable. You look comfortable. You look at ease. You look like I belong here, right?
Yeah. So I will say I feel sometimes invisible, but when
Mhm.
people asking me for direction, and that could be anybody, an older
Mhm.
person, a young person, a brown or black person, um, a guy actually this morning, he was truly
That's
lost.
nice. So at this point, you probably are able to give people
He asked me
directions.
if yeah, he asked me if I spoke French. I
Okay.
said, so,
Nice. Nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah. I
yeah.
think Portugal is, at least in the larger cities, is a bit more diverse than people might expect.
Oh, yeah, it
Hmm.
is. It is
Hmm.
very, it's very diverse. The woman who owned the Airbnb where I was, like in Lisbon, was French.
Hmm.
Downstairs from me, there were brown people living there. I don't
Hmm.
know where they're from,
Hmm.
because they could be from anywhere. They could have
Yeah.
been from Angola. They could have been,
France. Yeah.
France.
Hmm.
Who knew?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they all speak, these different languages.
Yeah.
So it is more diverse than I thought it was going to
Mm-hmm.
be. I will say
Yeah.
that. Mhm.
So you've seen Sintra, Lisbon, and Porto, and maybe some other little smaller places. Um,
Yes.
yeah, can you talk about maybe the difference between Lisbon and Porto? Because these are cities that a lot of folks are maybe considering either visiting or moving to, or sabbaticaling in. Um, and maybe talk about the difference between the two cities.
Sure. From my perspective, I did add a city that I didn't think I was going to go to this week. Friday, I went to Braga, which
Hmm.
is further north,
Hmm.
but and that's a small city. But
So it's
Lisbon
north of
is
Porto.
north of Porto,
Okay.
correct? And
Okay.
and
So it's up
the
there.
weather is different. It is
Mm,
cool. It
mm,
is cooler there,
mhm,
and it's only an hour away, but it's cooler. It's a small
mhm,
country,
mhm.
so the
Yeah.
variation is amazing from the
Mhm,
Algarve up to
mhm,
the north. So Lisbon is bustling. It's
mhm,
busy.
mhm,
It has a financial district. It has there are lots of corporations there from all over the world. It is the capital city. It is what it's supposed to be. There
mhm,
are lots of tourists there.
mhm,
There are different types of neighborhoods. You
mhm,
see neighborhoods that are pretty affluent. You see neighborhoods that are where your everyday guy, woman, children are living and thriving. You see some, you don't see, to be honest, I didn't see much poverty like I have seen, say, in New York or Philadelphia or even DC. I haven't seen that. There, I have taken the train from Sintra into Lisbon, and I was told that I was going through the Black neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And I could tell that I was, because when it stopped, you would see brown and Black people get on and off the train.
Yeah.
I did not spend much time there. I want to, because I would love to see how brown and Black people are living in those neighborhoods. They looked like, you know, people I would know going to work. I sat next to a Black woman one night, and she spoke to me like I could speak, and I just nodded and I said, and we talked and a little bit. But it is it has a very peaceful vibe for him. It's very artistic. You know, the youth there are creating. There's a big arts community. I can tell. And so the difference between that and Porto is that Porto is even more chill, to use the words, I would say, than Lisbon is, only because it doesn't have, it has tourism here is, I would think, is pretty substantial. It's a little smaller, I think it is smaller. And I think it's easier to get around in. And it connects to Gaia, which is another over the Douro Valley, or the river, that into another town, which I haven't really explored, just briefly the tourist area of it. I'm very curious to see more of that if I can in the next couple of weeks. The architecture is similar. There is industry here is different. There's a lot of art as well as production of different things. I think they're known for their design work and textile here, and you can see that around. And then there are architecture and real estate construction is booming in both places, but here in Porto, it's really coming along. Porto, to me, is more livable. That's what I would say. It's easy to me. It may not be as jazzy as Lisbon is, you know, but it is. It's smoother. It's easier. It's quieter. So it just depends on what one is looking for. I'm telling myself, you know, I'm considering possibly moving abroad. And so those are the questions in my mind that I have. What is going to be easier for me, or easiest? Cost of living, I believe, is lower here, which makes it than Lisbon.
So I would think, okay, so I just thought of this because Lisbon is getting more expensive. I'm thinking like Lisbon as San Francisco, like kind of ish.
Yes, exactly.
And then
that's
maybe,
exactly what it is.
Maybe Porto is like Philly. I don't know. Not that much. Not that bad. Not that.
Actually,
Providence,
you know what?
Providence. Philly, Providence, Rhode Island.
Philly.
Yeah, Philly. It's kind of like a Philly. It's got that kind of grittiness. Like it's got more of a working class feel to it.
Yes. That's interesting. Yeah. And I've lived in the Philadelphia area, so I can vouch for that. I could say that.
Yeah, there's things going on in both cities, but they have a different vibe.
Yeah. And then there are these really nice little places, these offshoots, you know. Someone gave me a suggestion to
for a neighborhood.
Go along the Villa Nova de Gaia, go along the boardwalk. And there's this place called Espino, Espino.
Hmm.
Um, a really cute town. It looks like people go there to retire. It's
Hmm.
beautiful.
Mm.
Um,
Is
and
that
very,
further along the Douro up out of Porto, or how did you get there?
yes, okay, so what I did was I took a Uber there,
Hmm. Okay,
and
so
they
it's
got on the
close.
freeway.
Mm.
And
Okay.
then he let me off. I said, go to the beach. He let me off closest to the beach.
Hmm.
And from there, I went to a coffee shop, and there are these older people, there,
Mm.
and it's a beach town. So I'm thinking people might go here to retire,
Hmm. Hmm.
and then I saw there's a casino there,
Okay.
and then there was a bingo.
Okay. Bingo.
Right by the water, right by
Uh-huh.
the water. It
Hmm.
was gorgeous.
Mm.
And there's a boardwalk
Mm.
that you could walk all the way up to Villa de Gaia. I did not. It was
Oh,
14
wow.
miles. I thought
Oh,
that I could. I'm
right.
like, no.
Yeah.
So the next town,
Mm.
there's another a train station.
Uh-huh.
Got back on the train, but
Mm.
I was like, huh, this is a very possible.
Yeah.
This is
Mm.
very cool. Living
Mm.
this, and I like the housing there. It
Okay.
looked really nice.
Yeah.
So, and Braga, I will say Braga is beautiful. It's a
Mm.
university town now.
Mm. Mm.
Quite a few students going there.
Mhm.
Evidently, it was frowned upon a few years ago when the Catholic Church was going through things
Mhm.
because there were so many Catholic churches there.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
but they're it's a very pretty.
Yeah.
It's a very pretty place.
All right. Braga.
Yeah, Braga. Who knew? I mean,
Right.
yeah, you just don't know.
Nice. Have you gotten to Coimbra?
I haven't. That's a
Okay.
plan for the
Okay.
next 2 weeks.
Okay.
I want to make a reservation to
Mhm.
see the university library.
Mm.
And
Nice.
I understand there's a garden behind it,
Mm.
botanical garden. So
Oh,
all the things
nice.
that I like.
Yeah, and that's one of the
Yeah,
oldest universities, right? Coimbra?
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Mm. Nice.
So I'm excited
Yeah.
about that. So I
Yeah.
have, a few more places to
Hmm.
go
Yeah.
to explore.
Yeah.
Um, it seemed like there's so much more. I thought I was going to go to the Algarve, but that's another
Mm.
trip.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah. That's
another
like,
trip. Yeah.
yeah. So, about how much longer do you have in Portugal?
I have let's see, what's today? The 13th. I have about 2 weeks, 2.5
Okay.
weeks.
All right. Are the jitters coming back? Are you? Are you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really sad. I'm
Mm.
anticipating it already,
Mm.
leaving. I think more so leaving a uh, a sabbatical. And
Yeah.
not that I'm going to be hustling
Mm.
as much. I don't believe, but I will be returning you know, to work. And but
Mm.
at this stage, this will be returning to work that I want to do.
Hmm.
I love to do so,
Yeah. Creating retreats.
and
And
creating something for myself. So
yeah.
yeah,
Interesting. Yeah, that'll be good. It'll be good.
yeah,
You're
it'll
gonna
be
design
good.
it for yourself. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So are
Yes,
you going back to the States after Portugal?
yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll be going back to the States,
Hmm.
and I've already decided that I'm gonna in probably around in June, July, take some more time off
Yeah.
and
Cool.
explore more. So not sure
Excellent.
where, but I will.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a nice taste of it, really good, and you don't want to give it up.
No,
This is,
no.
yeah, I
Got the bug.
understand. I understand. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
hopefully I will be on the path, your
There
path,
you go. There you
sooner,
go.
sooner rather than later, hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah, you will.
So, is there anything else you wanted to add here?
And I
Okay.
want to encourage I want to encourage women to explore any place that they have an interest in, or to become curious about um, parts of the world that they thought they'd never, want to explore or want, it's just opened up so much for me, some understandings that I have about this part of the world. I'm new to traveling. I really haven't traveled much as an adult. I was born in Germany, but we left, 2 years after I was born, and I visited Canada and Mexico. so, and so this is new to me, and I think it's if you're of my age, and I'm knocking on 60, and haven't been to explore some things, maybe this is something that you could do. It might brighten your perspective
Mm.
on the world, because there's some great places. People are great in these places.
Mhm.
Um, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for jumping on. It's been great talking to you. And I will leave your website and your socials in the description so people can find out how to get in touch with you.
Okay.
And yeah, and if
Thank
you are,
you.
yes, and those of you watching on YouTube, please hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you'll know when the next video drops. And thank you for watching. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.